up here live. All right, and we are live. All right, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome everybody to the latest edition of Talk About It Tuesday. And I know everybody had a good time last night on Meet the Staff Monday, where you got to meet Chelsea Merklinger, one of Columbia 300's newest staffers. Tonight, I brought on another newcomer. I'm not sure anybody knows who he is, but joining us tonight is Parker Bohn III. Good evening, Parker. How are we doing?
Doing fine, Jeff. How are you tonight?
I am fantastic and overly excited to have what I'll call one of my closest friends in this industry on our live feed here. And, you know, we couldn't be more excited to be on here again talking about some of our new gear that we've released. And what better way than to, you know, talk through it with Brunswick Pro staffer, I believe 35-time titleist, 3 majors, and he has 4 of those slightly older gentleman titles as well, I believe, to his credit at this point. So doesn't look a day over 40. If you look on the 2 pictures between me and Parker, he may look younger than I do. So
I think these glasses
with the well, my glasses, the prescription keeps getting worse. So, you know, I'm not really sure, but you know, why are we here tonight? We're excited to talk a little bit and kind of present to you one of the newest Brunswick balls, which is the Prism Warp Hybrid, which is the 4th installment in the Prism line and the 2nd in the Warp line. So one of the things I always like to go over, you know, before we start talking about the ball is for all the techie individuals out there, kind of some of the specifics about the ball. But Parker, you know, if you point up, I can't kind of do it, but it's up there in that corner, kind of over there, that ball we're talking about, you know, up in the corner. Yep. Yeah, I always get it backwards. But all right. So the Prism Warp Hybrid is, you know, an exciting ball to talk about. But one of the things with the success of this line is this one is also going to feature that 2.0 ACT, or that activator composite technology cover stock. So if you remember back to the original Prism line, we brought out the ACT, and then we put the some other additives and came out with a 2.0 version and wrapped it around that portal core, which has been unbelievable for us. So, you know, when you're comparing the Warp to the Prism Warp Hybrid, definitely the surfaces are different as well. You know, the original Warp was a 500 with 2000 on it, and this one's going to be 500, 1000, but then it's going to have the factory compound on it to give us a distinctly different look. Same thing, you know, one of the things that we're really proud of with our brands is offering that dot technology and also the dynamic core for that hitting power as well. And you tag and put all that stuff together and wrap it around a 2-year warranty. And, you know, we're offering some of the best balls that in the industry. And I don't know about you, Parker. I've gotten a chance to throw this one probably about 2 or 3 times now. The shop here has been absolutely crazy. These are flying out the door for us. And my preliminary thoughts on this ball are honestly it's wow. Right. The Warp was definitely one of my favorites as of late. It's still in my tournament bag. It's in my league bag, and I couldn't be more excited to add yet another shape. But Parker, I know, you know, bowling's kind of returning and stuff in New Jersey, you know, trying to come back a little bit. Not sure how much you've had a chance to throw this one personally, but I'm sure you've probably thrown one down the lane and or maybe saw some others in down there at Howell, you know, throwing some shots down the lane. So what have you seen so far?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on here, Jeff. It's really a pleasure, especially to come on to somebody's show that, like you said earlier, a good friend, a great friend. And I sincerely look at you that way, as well as Carrie. So I have not been to your place yet, but when I see it in the background there, it's looking awesome. You know, and I've heard plenty about it from Doug, because I know he's been there a couple of times, and he's got nothing but good things to say. But the ball itself, it's really a pretty strong ball. Even though it's got the factory compound over top, the 501,000 finish that they put to it, that factory compound, I look at that as a little bit more shelf appeal. It's going to kind of grab you to it because you're going to look at this nice, clean, shiny ball. But like anything, you can take some of that compound off or put whatever surface you want on it and allow the ball to pick up even more. But it is a fairly strong ball. And the fact that, like you said a minute ago, the fourth ball in this Prism line, I can tell you from past history, usually by the third generation of a bowling ball, the company looks to change a nameplate or do something with it because it's kind of fizzled out. And that has certainly not been the case here with the Prism line. Adding this fourth one just goes to show everybody how good and solid the line and the product is. Well, now just come and get it.
Right. And I think that's a good point. I mean, being the fourth installment, as we talked, the original Prism and the original Prism Hybrid, had slightly different cover stocks on them. We both know that the original Prism, that ball needed some oil.
Yeah.
Good ball, a lot of teeth to it, but you definitely needed to have what we kind of refer to as a flood out there to really be able to use that one. And I feel like each one of these installments that came out got even better. When they came out with the original Prism Hybrid, that ball was just super clean, angular off the spot, and just a great addition with a hybrid cover stock on it. Then, the third installment, when we came out with another solid version, but an upgraded, that 2.0 cover stock on there, that warp was so distinctly different, even though it still had that portal core. It really goes to show you what we've talked about in all these sessions here of how important the cover stock of the ball, which is what comes into contact with the lane, really does to our overall ball motion, right? With as well as the warp did, I was ecstatic when I saw, okay, now we have a warp, but now we're going to have a warp hybrid. I mean, it's, the 1-2 combination on those. And,
right.
And, I think one of the things that you just mentioned was, it was pretty awesome to hear you say it, because I feel like each one of these feeds we've done, Parker, we've spent a lot of time talking about, cover stock preparation and, how each player differs in what they like to see on the ball. But you made a good point that a lot of times with, factory compound or polish, a lot of times those are shelf appeal. And a lot of times we will go after and alter the surface of these bowling balls to aesthetically, match up better to our eye and or our game.
No question.
I thought we had a great conversation the other day in some of the groups where, I mentioned to everybody that, if a ball for me comes at 2000 on the cover stock, I still hit that ball with a 2000 pad when I get it. And the reason that I do that, even though it's the same, is I have a starting point, because it's really hard to try and replicate the box finish of a ball that came from a machine that was finishing in that ball off at the factory at a really high speed. All right. So it gives me a starting point. I know it's a fresh pad. I know what it's going to do. And I'll go ahead and hit it. And, a lot of times with these compounds and stuff, I'll hit a bowling ball, when it goes down the lane a couple times and kind of get rid of what we'll refer to as maybe some of that over-under ball reaction.
Right,
so,
right.
Well, pretty cool to hear some of the same thoughts.
Yeah, well, for me, typically, through the years when I'm out on the road there, I almost guaranteed take every ball that we have that has any kind of finish or compound to it, and I'm going to lightly go over it with a 1500 or 2000 pad. I want to break that shell. It's no secret to anybody. Ball speed, I've never been lacking. So therefore, I'm going to zip it down the lane. I don't need it to go down any further. I want it to pick up somewhere, and not when I'm just grabbing it off the ball return either, So, but when you look at certain players that bowl, because we all bowl differently, we all bowl on different conditions. Some like him the hook a little bit more. Some like the lanes. Well, to be quite honest, they want to see him be pretty tight. But exactly what you just said, make sure first that you buy the ball that you're looking for or that's going to fit your game. And the best way to do that is talking to you, Jeff, right there at the pro shop,
Mhm.
or another pro shop operator in your area if that's where you go. But right behind that, once you have the ball in your hand, make sure you get the right surface on it for what you're bowling on. Because if not, you've just bought a Cadillac with 2 flat tires, and it's not going to do you any good sitting in your driveway.
No, absolutely not. And maybe a good question that comes to my mind, Parker. Like you said, you've been not a speed dominant, if you will, but your speed has never lacked. So, interestingly enough, we've gone through a recent rule change here. With USBC and weight holes, being taken away from us. So, with the weight holes not being in use anymore and having that higher ball speed, have you made any adjustments to your personal game, maybe to use even more surface to get those bowling balls to pick up with the lack of holes?
Well, it's definitely an option. And believe it or not, Jeff, since the end of February, or I'm going to use March 1st as an example, I've only bowled one event since that time frame, and it was actually about 3 or 4 weeks ago, out a senior regional out in Ohio. So,
Mhm.
as much as I'd like to say that I'm fiddling with it, it's a continuous cycle. You never stop trying to play the game. And when you're playing the game, by all means, you want to get better than the next guy. So, putting more surface on it, yeah, I'm not afraid to put the surface on it. But putting the surface, let me say, or the right surface on the right bowling ball is the key.
Right. Absolutely. And and it's a good thing that you're saying that. We've started these sessions and starting to do a lot of talking about bowling, and unfortunately, in a lot of areas, we weren't able to bowl for a long period of time. So, kind of getting back into the swing here on top, compound that with some rule changes. It's a learning curve for all of us. So, what
Oh,
better
yeah.
way than to really get in there and dig in and understand what's best for us? And you made an amazing point, like you said. When we're doing these feeds here, this is about all the consumers out there that are taking their time to watch us. And from Parker and myself, whether you're talking to me as your pro shop operator, or you're going to, Buddy's Pro Shop or Bowler X or anywhere like that, those are the individuals that are going to help you to understand what ball is best for your game, right? Because none of us are remotely the same. Even within our own households. I mean, obviously Parker has some up and coming, children who are some accredited players themselves. And, Parker's going to go through a hard transition here soon where he's going to have to learn to maybe not be the best player in his house anymore. If you
Thanks.
need any tips on that, Parker, I have made the last 7 years of my life, I've learned to deal with it, as I am not the best player in my house. So any tips you need, my friend, on that realm, I'm here for you. You
So,
just reach
so,
on out to me and I'll tell you how to
so,
deal with it.
so being second or third or fourth fiddle's okay?
It is. You embrace it, and in your case, I know Leslie probably doesn't get to bowl quite as much as she like, but I am an expert purse carrier as well.
Oh, okay.
So when you got to get it from lane to lane, you just deal with it. So
I
I'm
have
sure
started.
Carrie's on here now, and she's probably tickled pink hearing this, but it's the ongoing joke.
I have started to become a pretty good caddy lately. I will say that.
Mhm. Yeah. And I
I
know
certainly,
before we
I'm fourth in line in the house for hook capabilities. And if Sydney passes, yeah. And if Sydney passes me, well, then I become last in line.
Yeah, you know what though? You have one thing they're not going to, well, a couple things they're not going to catch up to you on. One of that is your age. So the kids aren't going to catch you on that. And they
Correct.
got a long way to go to try to get to those career earnings, my friend. So, it's
Well,
that's
it,
gonna take a while.
it'll give them something to thrive and shoot for,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you gotta tell them though. Some of those purses back in the day, they're not out there anymore, so they're gonna have to work even harder. So, but
No, it's all good. I'll tell you. And it's funny, Jeff, as we speak, um, we moved into a new house here, about 20 minutes from where we lived before. And the kids wanted a man cave downstairs. They certainly did. Well, with that, we have a bigger basement now, so we are making a trophy wall down there. And we just bought a bunch of shelving unit that we're going to put all together. Actually, they are putting it together, and they are also digging out all of the trophies from the boxes that we've acquired, or fortunately that I've acquired throughout the years. And they've got some of theirs that they're adding to them as well, trying to make it a complete package. But it's going to be an awesome setup once we get it all said and done.
Yeah, that's awesome. Recently Carrie and I traveled out to the Illinois area, and we were fortunate enough to stay with some other of our good friends and see a pretty amazing trophy room, and that was staying with the O'Keefes.
Mm-hmm.
I busted Brian's chops a little bit and asked him where his fit into that trophy case, but primarily most of them were Shannon. So I I understand, but it's a
Brian,
very impressive display, and Brian is a great bowler that just doesn't bowl anymore.
well, let's put it this way. I can have a little fun here right now, and I love Brian and Shannon,
Mhm.
but Brian has more trophies in that case than Shannon does. It's just that his are really small. They usually have a screw head on the end of it, and it helps keep all those shelves together.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. Uh, so not to get off topic there, and but speaking, about the balls and kind of going at that, and I know we're talking about the Prism Warp Hybrid, and we're kind of going through those things, but I know you didn't get the ball much, but have you got to throw this one down the lane at all?
I've got to throw it down the lane a little bit. I did use it a few weeks ago, right after the regional, because we could not
Okay.
use it in the regional. It wasn't cleared for competition at that point. Coincidentally enough, the regional ended on Sunday, and it was good for use starting Monday. So,
Nice.
you know, but I've thrown it down the lane. But believe it or not, I've watched both of my boys throw the ball down the lane. And when I watch it go down there, it is certainly a strong ball that will pick up, you know, early enough to make the shape, but more importantly, to continue the shape. That's the biggest thing. Too many balls will pick up soon enough, but then they unfortunately die out. And that is
Right.
not the case here. When you look at this ball here, it's tremendous in every way, shape, or form. And I've watched thousands of balls go through the pins, folks. And when I say that,
Mhm.
us as a company, not just with this ball, but with all the balls, it's really a shame with what happened here with this COVID-19 because back in February, Jeff, we did the ball
Mhm.
seminars and
Yep.
we went around late February, early March, and we had 13 brand new balls that came out with 7 different brands at that time. And they were all unbelievable how good they were. Right ball for the right condition. I'm not going to say that they were all the big hooking monsters, but when you found the right ball for the right condition, sky was the limit, basically. And a lot of them had a lot of use. And then COVID-19 hit and it kind of took it away. Balls got swept under the carpet, which are really, really good. Well, we're starting to regenerate that all again with, a whole bunch of different rounds. And the Prism Hybrid, the warp that we're talking about here, this ball is another one of those really excellent balls, but relating to the player again and your customer, more importantly, the ball is not the perfect ball for everybody. That's why you have that wide variety of bowling balls on the wall behind your back there. Okay, so to your uh, customers that are coming in there, folks, I can't stress this one enough when I say this. Not only Jeff, but any pro shop owner operator is your best friend on the lanes, and not only on the lanes, but off the lanes. And why I say
Mhm.
that, because they feel your pain or they feel your gain when you're out there bowling, and they want you to be the best that you possibly can be. And when I say that, let me back it up one step further. If you go to Jeff and you get a bowling ball and it's not going to roll right, are you going to go be forthright and go back and get another one? Maybe not, but if it feels really good and you can play with the surface and talk to them and explain what it is that you're looking for, I'm going to tell you right now,
Mhm.
Jeff is your guy. He's going to put you in the right direction.
Right. And I flashed one up on the screen because it was kind of this kind of goes with what the topic is, so Jordan Shell, kind of throw some kudos here. Jordan just won a tournament this past weekend. He had a 300 at a PJBT and I think a second place finish. So congrats on that, Jordan. Great bowling.
Wow, nice bowling.
You know, he asked the question. He said, you know, what game would this ball come into play? And I think it was a great thing to flash up on the screen here, Jordan, because kind of what Parker just said, it's going to differ for each person. Okay, I can tell you, you know, last night, you know, I like to showcase these balls when we bowl league. And we bowl in York, Pennsylvania, and we bowl in a bowling center that's got a lot of friction. And, you know, I was getting loose and I threw this ball down the lane a couple times in practice, and this thing was hockey sticking off the back end of the pattern. Okay, not the right time and place for the ball. Okay, but for instance, somebody on my team like Carrie, who is, you know, a lot more forward, lower rev rate, this might be a first ball out of the bag for her, or, you know, a transition ball. For me, you know, I'm going to look to throw this ball when, you know, there's not quite as much down lane friction like that. I ended up, to give you an idea, in one of the other brands, I ended up throwing a Hammer Web Tour Hybrid, which we reviewed last week, which had a little more surface and it smoothed the mid lane out more for me. And it wasn't sharp off the spot. You know, that ball was completely different. So to answer your question, Jordan, that's where what Parker's saying, like, this is a good conversation to have with your pro shop, because you want to understand where specifically this fits in your bag, whether it's a tournament bag or whether it's, you know, league, that matches up with your parameters, how you deliver the ball and how you throw it. Okay, great. You know, I want to get the best possible ball for you in your hands. So, you know, if it wouldn't be a ball, you know, specifically reviewing this one, if this ball isn't right from you, you're going to hear that right from my mouth. Okay. And if I think there's a better one in the line, whether it's, you know, maybe for you, Jordan, with the two-handed style and no thumb, you know, maybe in our lines, the Brunswick Melee Jab Blood Red might be the right ball. You know, again, that's that talking point that's so critical to have when you're going out to make a purchase. And the good thing for you is the brands of Brunswick, as Parker noted, as I've said on we have 7 brands to choose from. And we have arguably, and I'm not even going to say arguably, I'm going to say we have the most vast variety in the industry of shapes from top to bottom. On the 7 brands, question. We have brands that, you know, definitely see the lane sooner. We have brands that are more rolly. We have brands that are more brash and more down lane and whippy motion. And for you, the player, that's amazing, because these manufacturers are taking the time to make these arsenals to make it easier on you, right? And that's what we're here to make sure that everyone understands. And you know, there's a right ball for each person, whether you have one in your bag or you're building something up to, you know, 10 balls, 12 balls, if you're in tournament play. And, you know, that's the critical conversation to have with your pro shop operator. So
absolutely,
that was a great question. And I'm glad you asked it. You know, we've had a couple people popping in here, you know, there, but if you guys have additional questions, you know, again, you have one of the all-time, you know, leaders in titles and a legend of our game right on here, and myself, to answer anything that you may come across. You know, we like to talk back and forth here. We like to talk about other things, not just the ball, but, you know, this is what we're here for, gang. We're here to answer. You know, I always like to, you know, put a little humor and stuff in the feeds as we're going. So I know she didn't put it up on here, but one of the questions that came across, Parker, is who is your all-time favorite female bowler to bowl with in Millsboro, Delaware?
I think you might know her. Maybe you've crossed paths.
We have, and you know, she.
You know, I think
she puts a lot of pressure.
I know that her first name, I believe, begins with a K, and yeah, Smith. That's it. Yep, Carrie. Bingo.
Yeah. She was bummed out that Millsboro wasn't having their tournament this year, but she always jokes around. You know, she said that, you know, she loves the fact that she's gotten to bowl with a variety of players. Obviously, her favorite was getting to bowl with you. But she put some pressure on you though, Parker. I mean, she was pretty blunt.
Some.
I bowled this tournament 3 times with 3 different partners, and I've made the final every year. So don't let me down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Shit, that's tough.
exactly.
That's putting a lot on there.
Yeah. No, outside of that, it was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
You
A
know,
non-bowling related question that came up too, Parker. Go ahead. You can finish your thought, and then we'll answer this next one.
well, one thing I wanted to say that you jumped on a minute ago before we get to Cassandra here is, folks, just because you see somebody roll a certain ball on TV, and I'm going to put my trust in Jeff here since he's right here on the screen. You go to your pro shop operator for their expertise. They are the guy or lady that knows quite a bit, if not an endless amount of knowledge about all the equipment that's out or what is coming out, let me say next week, possibly, because we all know that the companies have new balls coming all the time. But more importantly, when you go in there, don't say, I want the latest, greatest, biggest, hookingest ball that's out on the market. Give them your arsenal. Tell them the 2 or 3 balls that are in your bag. And I say 3 because most everybody's got a 3-ball bag anymore. But show them the balls that you're utilizing and explain to them, this is where I run into my problem, or this is where maybe I don't see the lane as good as I would like to. And for everybody out there, folks, I'm going to put it like this. Sometimes you don't see it in the beginning or the morning. Sometimes you're not the person that sees it during transition or the afternoon. And sometimes you're the person that loves it at night when you can get inside and just wind on it and let it go somewhere. But we all have our favorite part of the tournament or the day or the league. You need to figure out how to bring those not so favorite parts up to a par or a standard that allow you to go out there and really put, let me say, a full set together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So we'll answer a couple here. So Cassie asks, Parker, what is your most memorable bowling experience to date? He's been
Uh,
bowling for about 74 years, so that's a hard question there, Cass. You're testing his memory.
I'm supposed to say bowling with Carrie, right?
I don't know. You might get in trouble at home if you said that. So, I mean,
Yeah. No, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of great things happen to me out on the lanes, but by far the most memorable moment has to be, and it was, I'll say a number of years ago, but not too long ago that most people can't remember, Superstorm Sandy. Uh, when Superstorm Sandy hit here on the East Coast, everybody was upside down in turmoil. We were without power for 3 days, and I was getting ready to go out and bowl one of the biggest events of the year, the World Series of Bowling. I did not go down to the bowling center to practice because nobody had power, including the center. Things were a mess. They were upside down. Finally, we had power the night before I was hopeful to go, and it looked like things were underway. I had the family set. I went out the next day or a day later because I had to miss 2 practice sessions. But by the time I got there, I bowled 2 practice sessions, bowled the event, didn't make any of the individual cuts, Jeff, but snuck into 24th for the big one and worked my way up the line, snuck into the top 5 TV show. And then at that day, at that time frame, we had actually 36 hours before the live show. So I was able to set it up where Leslie and the 3 kids flew out to watch me bowl. And they sat there in the front row and fortunately watched an hour and a half that as a family we have not forgotten about to this day. And walk away with the World Championship trophy, check, and title. That was, it will go down as my best memory in history.
absolutely. And I would have to go out on a limb and say, Parker, the trophy, the money, yeah, that stuff's cool. But the memory with the family was the biggest takeaway from that. I mean, that's storybook there.
Oh, yeah.
Try
Yeah, it
and
couldn't have been
try and
written any better.
right. I got another one coming through here. Patrick Abrams, he asks, he has an affinity. Okay, so going back to the Ebonite and looking to replace lower rev player, is this a good replacement? So, Patrick, knowing your game here a little bit, the affinity is a very different ball. The affinity was a symmetric ball, symmetric core. It was a very what we'll call clean and whippier piece. So kind of 2 different monsters here. If I was to say in the Brunswick line, something that you're doing, the blood red would be one we talk more about to kind of get that match down lane motion more than this prism would. I do know as well, Patrick is a fan of the asymmetric balls. So, Patrick, we'll get you, if you were looking to get away from some of those Utah balls, this would be a pretty good one to get away from some of those, those big ASIMs you got in a bag and replace it with a fresh cover. But good one to talk through. But from the affinity question, wouldn't be this particular ball. But definitely this would match your eye pretty well from a different perspective, but not for the same shape there.
Patrick, I got to add to this, Jeff. Patrick, just go in with a little bit of an open mind. It sounds like you're open just by asking the question, but when you go there, look at what's on the wall. Maybe you have some sort of perceived notion because somebody recommended something, or you've done a little bit of research yourself, because God knows these computer screens anymore. You can find everything and anything. But the one thing that you can't find is a guy that really knows and understands your game, but the ball or balls that will help your game get to that next level. So if you go in with an open mind, talk to Jeff, see what he's got, up his sleeve, or see what he thinks is going to fit you for the condition that you're bowling on, because every league, every night, every bowling facility is totally different. I'm sure he will put you well on your way.
Absolutely. DJ, which I know you know him pretty well, Parker, he just put up a nice kudos for the weekend, but obviously his kid was down and bowled your tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to get together before your tournament to get on here, but I had my weeks mixed up and was trying to get you on beforehand. But, he was saying thanks for a well-run tournament 2 weeks ago at how everybody did an excellent job. And, Parker, I know that you guys are extremely, proud of that tournament. You guys have done an amazing job over the years to support youth bowling, bowling in general. And, honestly, outside of just from the youth movement, just being an ambassador to this game, obviously you're willing to take your time out, give back to the game that's given you so much, over the years. So,
oh yeah,
thought it was a good one to put up there on the screen. So, sometimes it's nice to be recognized too for, everything that you do. So, we appreciate you, Parker, and DJ, thanks for those words. I'm sure, Parker likes to hear those things more than not.
Well, I appreciate it very much, Jeff. And Darren, or DJ, I appreciate that. More importantly, I appreciate the fact of the support that I have behind me. It's easy to get up there and talk on a microphone, and I'm going to laugh when I say this, start to sound like Matt Hemmelrick, because I felt like some of my entries just got long-winded there. But putting that behind me, the staff of people, starting out with Leslie, that really puts all the dots where they need to be and crosses the T's. But even everybody else right there with us, everybody jumped in. They had zero problem with doing what had to be done, what necessary steps had to be taken to maintain, under today's world, everything to be safe, healthy, and enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know from knowing the family how much, Leslie does behind the scenes, and, even going back to the days of the Bohn Zone and, things like that, we know how much Leslie was involved, and, being kind of the background and your rock there to basically pull these things off. Because goodness, we all know, if you've never seen Parker's travel schedule through the years and the things he's done to make sure he gets to everywhere he needs to be. And one story comes to mind, and I'm pretty sure it was one of the championship weekends at Limerick. I know you were down and did the skins match, and I think you had to go back because there was a Hall of Fame induction for a friend of yours, and I think a few times you had tournaments that conflicted, so you flew in and flew back just to pull things off. So there's always a good woman behind the guys that are out there as well, to help
no
us,
doubt,
keep the sanity and do all the things in the background with the crazy schedule. So, kudos to Leslie as well.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it, Jeff.
Looks like I know this is another Abrams. There's about 14 brothers in this family, by the way, Parker. So Tommy asked he asked if you are superstitious. if you got a pre-shot or pre-game routine you follow.
You better believe I am. For years when I bowled out on tour, my towel was always folded in a certain way. I definitely went through the pre-shot routine with wiping my shoe off every single time, scratching a certain area of it because I wanted to make sure that I slid correctly, or let me say, had the perfect scenario once I got to the foul line. But then I'd come back and sit in the same settee area, meaning sit in the same area or the seat. Now, from time to time, somebody might be in my seat. I didn't ask him or her to get up, but as soon as it became available, I was right back in it. Now, if things weren't going right, let's put it this way. You got to pick a different seat. The towel had to be distraught. I had to unfold it and refold it up another way. There had to be something else wrong as to why I personally was not striking.
Right. It had nothing to do with you repeating.
No.
Parker hasn't fell off a shot since the Great Flood of '72, so it definitely wasn't, falling off of it. It's probably the same time he missed his last spare. We get it. We have another visitor on here, and I think we both know this guy. So let's see what he's coming up. He's probably in here to troll us. But anybody who know who Adam Ishman is, Jeff and Parker, can you help a guy stay on balance and post the shot? I need your help. So the joke here, Parker, is I saw Ishman out in Columbus. We were all together, and I was busting on Ishman pretty bad, telling him post the shot just once in your life for me. And I know he was going up to the at the time he was headed up to Muskegon shortly after that to shoot some of the ball videos, and I asked them to post the shot, and I got what I asked for. So Ishman, if I hope you're doing well, buddy. Thanks for everything you do, for this company as well. If everybody is not aware, Adam Ishman is one of the regional sales reps for the brands of Brunswick. So hope you're doing well, my friend.
He's on the far West Coast. I've had the pleasure. Yeah, I spent a little bit of time with Adam, obviously bowling to Peterson 1 or 2 years. That's where I really got to know Adam at. And I know he was, working for Ebonite there for a number of years. Fortunately, with us, when we purchased Ebonite and all the brands over there, Adam was, along with Dave Watka, were two of the guys that I really knew a fair amount of. Fortunately for us, they came on board and continued their job forthright. And I'm going to go like this. It's certainly 2 thumbs up because I enjoy every bit of time I can spend with either one of those guys.
Absolutely. And, we talked about Wadka, you brought his name up. Obviously, I love Dave to death. We talk every day. Fortunately for me, like you're saying, Parker, I've gotten to work with Dave even closer now that we're with the brands of Brunswick and pulling together. He's kind of instilled in me as one of the team leaders here in Eastern Pennsylvania. So I get to work with a lot of the staff and get to interact with Dave. Good tidbit is Dave. There may be more than just Dave, but Dave is going to be on this segment next week. We're going to talk about the Ebonite Arrow. So we'll have him on here. We'll be able to roast him a little bit. And he also told me, as a little tidbit, he's making some rounds. They're finally going to start to travel a little bit. And Dave's going to be stopping by the center here, and he's actually going to participate in Throw It Thursday as well. So, Ishman, if you're still on, Make sure you're on for that one next Thursday. See if we can get the slow wheel Wadka, see what he can do here on the 70-year-old Wood. So it'll be a fun segment. But
the ball may hook at his toe.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure that I soup him up a little bit for that one. So I know we'll save some of that for next week. But that arrow that came out in that Ebonite line, that's a hook monster. That thing is good. But I'll have to make sure I juice him up a little bit. So we'll answer a couple more questions here. Believe it or not, Parker, and I know we've done this before, but we're almost at the 40-minute mark. It's so easy to talk about bowling when you have 2 gentlemen that enjoy it as much as we do, and it's just second nature.
Oh yeah.
And, it doesn't. Time just goes past, and we don't even think about it. I know last week I was on with Shannon. We crested like an hour. We just started talking about bowling in general and coaching and all the other stuff. And next thing you know, you look up and it's, wow, I just took an hour of somebody's life from them, but
Well, when you
it's
love it,
amazing to get on here and just talk.
you love it. And when you love to do something, it's not work. It's enjoyable. It's entertainment, and I've always taken the stride behind it, regardless of my exhibition or appearance, or even myself being on the lanes. If somebody behind me, with me, next to me, or that asks a question, if they learn one more thing about bowling than they knew prior to, then I look at it, it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. And there's nothing more, fulfilling to me. I mean, obviously, I've been very fortunate to be able to work with some of the best players in the world. And, unfortunately for myself, I battled a lot of injuries over the years. We kind of joke about it, but, 14 knee surgeries and 2 backs, and, we make up some new ailments that I have. And, I spent a lot of years on the disabled list. And, so I got into loving the sport even more and watching others excel. So, getting to work with Carrie and getting to work out on tour with the girls and the guys every once in a while, I mean, has been just simply amazing. And it drives me even more internally to just want to see all my clients here be the best versions of themselves. And it's, when we talk bowling, I get kind of giddy, and when you do that, you realize you're not working anymore, right? When I'm in here and
Right.
I'm helping customers, or I'm out on tour and I'm working with, any of the players, I love what I'm doing. It's not work. It is how I feel life should be. And that's a pretty amazing feeling. And I'm very fortunate that, I've had these opportunities, and I can't wait for what's in store in the future. I mean, it's amazing. I can't wait to know what the next step's going to be. So,
Well, never
bowling
lose
is,
that feeling.
close as my heart. And, I've recently taken the plunge here, Parker, and I have left the corporate world. I am no longer working a corporate job during the day. I am 100% bowling at this point. You and I talked for a long time, when I was going through this, this crazy transition with buying a bowling center and, renovating, and you even went as far as, going out and get me in contact with Dougie, your brother-in-law, because he had the same machines. And it's just amazing what this, family within this industry can do when we're all helping each other. And
Oh, yeah.
this is a guy right here, or a boy, or I guess I can't be a boy anymore. I'm 42 now. So, but this is
You're
something
a
I dreamed
puppy.
about growing up. And here we are. Yeah, here we are doing it. Yeah. I mean, I had to look up your stats. I couldn't believe how old you were, my friend.
Thanks.
But again, I didn't put it up there, but if you guys want to know, you can look up his stats on pba.com. It'll tell you right there anything you want to know, including age. So
Yeah, I see.
but
My tire tracks are up my sleeve over here.
yeah. It looks like some of the questions are there's one on here. I won't put it up on the screen, but somebody did ask, what your favorite ball of all time was. But before you answer that, Parker, I'm just curious. I'm thinking maybe it's this one. I've been waiting to pull this up the entire feed. I have had this ball. Man, I don't even know how. I know how I obtained it. Actually, we just were talking about DJ Zombro. His sister Deanna had this ball from one of the PBA. It was like a PBA giveaway or something, probably in a pro-am. And she's like, hey, I had this in the closet. What can I do with it? I said, well, it's not really worth anything. It's kind of a boat hanger at this point. Well, I mean, what has the guy done? But no, awesome. She said, hey, I had this in the closet. I thought this would be cool to bring in. And she brought it in, and I've had it on display ever since. So one of these times when I do finally, our schedules mesh up and can get you up here, definitely want to make sure for one of my mementos that's in here. I got to get your signature on this one, bud. But
Well, I'll tell you what,
I'm not
for
sure
all
this
the
was your favorite ball of all time, but I'm sure it's pretty humbling feeling the first time that you got your image or your name on a ball. That had to be pretty cool.
Well, it was, but before we get to that, I'm going to say something about that ball right there. Jeff, you hold on to that ball, and for all the listeners out there, you will personally know when I've been to Jeff's shop, because I will make it a point to sign that ball when I walk in the door. All right?
Perfect.
So that way,
We
when
gotta do
somebody
it for
sees it
sure.
signed, they'll come up to you and
Yeah.
say, I guess Parker was finally here.
Yeah. And
So,
it wasn't from trying. We've our schedules haven't meshed to kind of, cross and pass to allow you to get up here, but it'll happen soon. We're only about we're about 2 hours apart, about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
yeah,
If Terry
but
drives about an hour and a half.
now, yeah, Leadfoot Louie, huh? All right, good. But
Yeah.
now that I know that you're fully into the bowling center and out of the corporate world, that means you're there a little bit more time in your facility. So now I
Love it.
know when the opportunity arises for me to get out that way, I will certainly make it a point to stop by there because morning, noon, and night, it sounds like if you're a proprietor now, you're there all the time. So
Yep.
now back to
Absolutely.
my favorite ball. I'd like to say that the Parker Bohn III MVP is the tops of the list. That was a ball that Brunswick came out. They came out with three of us at that time: Mike Albee, myself, and Walter A. Williams Jr. We had a ball named
Mhm.
each one of our behalfs, but basically the ball was made out of what you thought your favorite ball was at that time, or recent future. And for me, it would have been the Speed Zone.
Okay.
My ball was emulated. It was very, very close to what the Speed Zone was. Keep in mind, folks, that Brunswick does not duplicate a new bowling ball. They don't just make the same exact ball and put a different name or nameplate on it. There is always some
Mhm.
sort of minor infraction, minor altercation, or change because they don't believe that technology needs to stay the same. Everything believes that, or they believe everything needs to be enhanced to some way, shape, or form. So back in the day, it would have certainly been the Speed Zone. In today, let's just say that I'm in search of the new one that's going to come out soon.
Mm, okay. Nothing like dangling a little bait out there and keeping the suspense going, bud.
The new ones, the current ones are great, and the new ones just
Mhm.
continue to get better and better. And for everybody out there, it's not like you got to wait. You got to feel the steps along the way. But what we have right now is really awesome. And what I hear that comes down the road, and what I actually have a small chance in putting my hand on, is just incredible.
Awesome. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right, Parker, I always like to kind of end one of these sessions. Usually it's with a joke, okay, or it's, a question or kind of an ad lib. But for all the viewing folks out there, would you please let them know, have you ever beaten me in match play?
Have I ever beaten you in match play?
Yeah.
No, no.
I have a perfect record against Parker Bohn III. I just wanted everybody to know that. The other thing to that is I've never bowled him because I usually don't make the finals, but I'm still perfect. So I've never lost to him, and I want everybody to notate that. It's the same thing. We like to have a little fun with it, but one of these days, I'm getting closer to that PBA 50, so maybe I'll get to shoe up against them a little more in the future, but. Before that, Parker, I know you haven't bowled a lot of events, but are you planning to bowl anything coming up here in the near future? You got anything on your calendar coming up?
Well, if it doesn't fall apart, or more importantly, right now, burn down, I am planning to go out to the West Coast there. I have to make a trip out to Oregon and go out and bowl a senior regional in the middle of October. But with what's happening out on the West Coast right now, between the
Oh,
fires, the COVID-19, the unrest that's going around our country, it's just pretty sad. I just hope that everybody realizes that at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing, love one another, and enjoy our time that we can, whether it's on the lanes or off the lanes. Treat everybody the same. The world will be a much better place.
absolutely. For the rest of us here, I know, in the East region here, most of you that are on, regionals have kind of come back around. I know in a few weeks there's bigger one coming up in the Wilmington area that I think a bunch of us are hitting. Any chance we're going to see you at that one, Parker?
That's got a possibility. I did take notice to that one. I also took notice to one that's going to be right here in Aberdeen. It's actually in the county I grew up in, Strathmore Lanes. So I'm planning on doing that. I think there's a senior regional in Oxford, PA. Unfortunately, that's not going to make my schedule because that's the same time I'm supposed to be out in Oregon, participating and doing some work for Brunswick out there. But I'm sure that there's going to be other ones that are going to pop up here and there. And let's just say this way, folks, lo and behold, you might open the door and all of a sudden find me walking through the door as well.
Absolutely. Awesome stuff. All right, Parker, I definitely want to thank you, my friend, for coming on here, taking the time out of your schedule and from the family and stuff and just being the true professional that you are and just continuing to show us what, dedication to, our brands, to the sport of bowling and just being a good human being. And couldn't be happier to have you on tonight. So thank you.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate the invite. Trust me, I do. But I appreciate all of your help along the way. And when I say your help, we are all in this business together. I know that I get a lot of the limelight being on TV, maybe not now, or maybe not for the last decade, but regardless, whether you're out there on the tour, whether you're running a bowling center, managing it, cleaning it, running a pro shop, at the end of the day, we want to see one more person walk through our door to play this great sport that we know and love. So thanks to you and everybody that works around you, near you. And well, I'm going to say this, thanks to Kerry for allowing you to do all these wonderful things and be a part of this great sport. Let's keep growing it together.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Again, thank you, Parker. One departing gift here because I just saw it come up. Patricia Cooper. I just want to point out, she just put a couple comments up here. Your cookies that you provided for us this weekend were absolutely delicious. I did give Carrie her batch. I may have dipped into hers a little bit as well, but they were tremendous. Thank you again. Thanks for supporting bowling.
I'll take a rain check.
We'll save you too, but she brings cookies out to regionals, and you wouldn't believe how many she hands out. It's awesome, and the way she supports bowling and kind of goes from place to place. So thanks for tuning in, Patricia. Thank you to everybody out there that tuned in tonight. Again, stay tuned. We will throw this ball down the lane on Thursday. As always, I will try to get more than 6 while I'm talking. But again, support bowling, support your proprietors, your pro shops, and by all means, the brands of Brunswick. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you the next time. Good night, all.
All right. Take care, everybody.